Oh, we finished all the way to 28.
Did we reach to 28?
Yeah.
Okay, then let's do 29.
I think maybe last week we could have covered 28. I didn't join last week. I missed it. But probably, yeah, we can start with 29.
Okay, let's do it from here. We'll quickly go through it. Samam pashyan hi sarvatra
Samapashyami sarvatra
samavastitam ishvaram
samapashitam Ishvaram
nahinasti atmanatmanam
nahinasti atmanatmanam
tato yati param gatim.
tato yati param gatim.
One who sees super soul equally present everywhere in every living entity does not degrade himself by his mind. Thus, he approaches the transcendental destination. Now, I remember we covered this also last time, but still we can do it. So, the key point here is we should be able to see the Paramatma manifestation everywhere. Presence of Supreme Personality of Godhead in every living thing. Even you are going on a street and somebody is drunk and he's fallen down right next to the street, you should still see Paramatma present in that living entity's body, Jivatma and Paramatma. And also one other point, does not degrade himself by a destructive mentality. Right? So what's happening right now? Everybody is destroying themselves. This is called Atmaha. Atmaha means destroying yourself, destroying your own Atma. So we should refrain from doing that. What should we do? We should not degrade ourselves by destructive mentality. And gradually advance to the spiritual world. The mind is generally addicted to sense gratifying processes, but when the mind turns to super soul, he becomes advanced in spiritual understanding. Sense gratification is what we do, right? We have senses and we are gratifying them. What does a yogi do? He ceases from sense gratification. Why? Because param drishtva nivartate. He is able to see a uh, higher aspect of the world, of whatever you want to call it. So we are normally addicted to sense gratifying process. When we watch TV, read a newspaper, that is called sense gratifying. Gratifying means satisfying. So we are satisfying our senses. But when the mind turns to the super soul, then we become advanced. So we have to turn to Paramatma. Prakritev cha karmani
Prakritev cha karmani
kriyamanani sarvasaha
kriyamani sarvasah
yah pashyati tatatmanam
yah pashyati tatatmanam
akartaram sapashyati.
akartaram sapashyati.
One who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that self does nothing, actually sees. So this is like a lot of twist on the words. To understand this, we should read the purport. Okay, Disha, please read.
This body is made by material nature under the direction of the Supersoul, and whatever activities are going on in respect to one's body are not his doing. Whatever one is supposed to do, either for happiness or for distress, one is forced to do because of the bodily constitution. The self, however, is outside all these bodily activities. This body is given according to one's past desires. To fulfill desires, one is given the body, which he acts accordingly. Practically speaking, the body is a machine designed by the Supreme Lord to fulfill desires. Because of desires, one is put into difficult circumstances to suffer or to enjoy. This transcendental vision of the living entity, when developed, makes one separate from bodily activities. One who has such a vision is an actual seer.
Okay. So what is the meaning of seer?
Sees the future. The fourth year.
Seer. Seer definition. Somebody who sees the future, somebody who sees the absolute truth. You see that a person who is supposed to be able through supernatural insight to see what the future holds. And second thing is simple thing, a person who sees something, right? If I'm seeing something, I'm also a seer. But in a broader sense, what the future holds. So that's why they call them sages and seers. Have you heard the term? Sages and seers? Yeah. So transcendental vision. Vision means the ability to see. But right now we have material vision. Transcendental vision means seeing from a scriptural perspective. Such a person is the actual seer. Body is a machine. We all know that. Designed by the Supreme Lord. We don't know this, but now we know it. To fulfill desires. We have this whole stock of desires. So to fulfill these desires, this body is a machine to fulfill desires. But then because of desires, what happened? We are put into difficult circumstances to suffer or enjoy. That's why what Gautam Buddha did, he said desire is the root cause of all misery, and he left family life and he became a sannyasi, and later on he became a Buddha. Buddha means it's a state of enlightenment. We are put into so many difficult circumstances. Don't say we are not in difficulty. We have so many difficulties. For kids, doing homework is a difficulty. For parents, going to office is a difficulty. Taking care of relatives is a difficulty. So many challenges. Okay, 31. Yada bhuta prithak bhavam
Yata bhuta tatmavam
ekastam anupashyati
Ekastam anupashyate
tata eva cha vistaram
tata eva cha vistaram
brahma samapadyate tada.
brahma sampatyate tada.
When a sensible man ceases to see different identities, ceases means stops. Identity. What is identity? I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm a baby, I'm Indian, I'm American. Those are all identities. Due to what? Different material bodies. And he sees. Remember, we talked about seer in the last verse. How beings are expanded everywhere. He attains to the Brahman conception. Brahman. So there are three levels. You remember? Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. Understanding God, absolute truth, is in three levels. Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaniti, Sabdyate. So a sensible person, man or woman or kid or doesn't matter, stops seeing different identities due to different bodies. So you don't think this is American, this is Indian, this is Russian. And you see how beings are expanded everywhere. There are beings everywhere. When you go to India, you see beings. When you come to America, you see beings. You go to Europe. Such a person who is able to stop seeing these different identities attains to the Brahman. Elsewhere in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na sochati na kankshati. Sochati means lamenting for the past. Array, if I had bought Microsoft stock for 60, right now it is 220. That is lamenting for the past. And planning for the future. Oh, I think this Tesla car will come cheap. It is 80,000 now. But if I wait for 10 years, it may come for 30,000. That's what we are doing. Constantly sochati and kankshati. Lamenting or crying for the past and planning for the future. In this way, entire life goes. And one fine day we are dead. In case you don't believe in death, just look at newspapers. How many people died today? Anybody know? Due to coronavirus. Death is very common. Nowadays, death has become very cheap. Somewhere they have statistics here on this site. I'm trying to see where they have that. Yeah, 190,000 people, new cases, and 4,142 new deaths. So death has become very cheap. 4,000 is a big number actually. It's a big number. So we have to come to this conception fairly quickly. Jaypal, please read.
Sure, Prabhuji. One second, Prabhuji. I'm unable to see the screen.
Really? Okay, I'll stop and reshare. Now, can you see now?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, please read.
When one can see that the various bodies of living entities arise due to the different desires of the individual soul and do not actually belong to the soul itself, one actually sees. In the material conception of life, we find someone a demigod, someone a human being, a dog, a cat, etc. This material vision, not actual vision. This material differentiation is due to material conception of life. After the destruction of material body, the spirit soul is one. The spirit, the spirit soul, to contact with material nature, gets different types of body. When one can see this, he attains spiritual vision, thus being freed from differentiations like man, animal, big, low, etc. One becomes purified in his consciousness and able to develop Krishna consciousness in his spiritual identity. How he then these things will be explained in the next one.
Yeah. So one becomes purified in his consciousness, able to develop Krishna consciousness as a spiritual identity. So each one of us has a spiritual identity, Swarupa Siddhi. When we leave this body and we are pure and Krishna is pleased with us, he gives us our original Swarupa Siddhi back. And in that Swarupa Siddhi, we are able to see everything very clear. So that is the spiritual identity it's talking about. In material identity, somebody is a dog, somebody is a cat, somebody is a human being, somebody is a devata. But ultimately, all those are souls. So it comes back to the most important thing in Bhagavad Gita, the understanding that we are not the body, but we are the soul. Anaditvan nirgunatvat paramatma mayam avyayah
Paramatmamayam avyayah.
sharirastopi kaunteya
Sharirastopi kaunteya.
na karoti na lipyate.
Na karoti na lipyate.
Those with the vision of eternity can see that the imperishable soul is transcendental, eternal, and beyond the modes of nature. Despite contact with material body or Arjuna, the soul neither does anything nor is entangled. So soul is in the body, so it is in contact with the body. But soul doesn't do anything, according to Lord Krishna. So our senses are dragging us. Eyes will drag us in one direction, ears will drag us in one direction. So what do? Control our senses. So what is the example that Lord Krishna gives of how to control senses? Anybody remember? Okay, hint. It's an animal. Krishna quotes an animal and he says, This is the best way to control senses. So what is that animal?
Horses.
Huh?
Horses.
Say that again, please.
Cows.
Chariot.
Uh,
Chariot with 5 horses and Krishna.
No, not horses. No. It starts with a T.
Tortoise.
Tortoise, yeah. So what about the tortoise? Whoever said that?
Whenever there is a danger, it will withdraw
Yes, withdraw its limbs.
limbs.
So we have to live like a tortoise. Tortoise, what does it do? Whenever there's a danger, it will pull all its senses inside, lower the shell, so that even if somebody comes and hits the shell, nothing will happen. When danger goes away, it again pulls the head out, 4 arms and 2 rear arms or legs out, and then starts crawling again. So that is how we should have senses. Senses should be only used for the service of Krishna. So if somebody says, okay, let's go watch that movie, what do? You take your senses and you hide them, which means you essentially close your eyes. So it's better to go to sleep than watch that silly movie. Sense control. Same thing with ears, same things with tongue, same things with sexual organs. Control them. It's easy to say, difficult to do, but you have to start somewhere. If you control, then we are like the tortoise. Then the soul is not doing anything, right? There's no activity going on. I mean, there is activity going on, like chanting Hare Krishna, but not materialistic, mundane activity. Not even materialistic, it's actually mundane, means very low level stuff. Just if you go to University District, you'll see people will walk from that side to this side, and after 15 minutes, you'll see people walking from this side to that side. No goal in life. They think they are enjoying just by looking at various people, looking at the shops and all that. Right? I mean, people go on vacation. What do? They go to vacation and do the same thing: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Oh, you ask somebody, "Arey, Hawaii. So how was Hawaii? It was great. What did you do?" Yeah, we sat by the beach. We ate some nice, whatever, lobster or whatever they'll say. And we had so much fun. Technically, you can do all those things in Seattle, Alki Beach also. But you have to spend that $1,000, $1,500 per head. Then it will feel like, yes, I'm enjoying. Right? So this is unfortunately the state. And all advertising will encourage you. They'll put a nice picture of a Marriott hotel in Waikiki Beach, in Hawaii. And they'll say, if you just stay in this hotel for 3 days, you'll be very happy. It's the same level of happiness. Actually, people who are smarter, they come to the conclusion that's exactly the same level of happiness. It's just that you are conditioning your mind based on advertising. Right? You could technically get the same happiness by walking in front of your home, up and down. Right? Because in the mind, you're thinking, oh, because I'm walking on the beach, I'm a success story. And because I spent $6,000 for my family to fly here and stay in a hotel, this must be really good. So you are convincing yourself. That is called confirmation bias. So in psychology, that's called confirmation bias. Okay, so I spent money, so it must be good. Like that. You're confirming to yourself. Okay. Somebody read this.
I can read.
Prabhu.
A living entity appears to be born because of the birth of the material body, but actually the living entity is eternal. He is not born. And in spite of his being situated in a material body, he is transcendental and eternal. Thus, he cannot be destroyed. By nature, he is full of bliss. He does not engage himself in any material activities. Therefore, the activities performed due to his contact with material bodies do not entangle him.
Yeah. So if we don't engage with material activities, then the material activities don't entangle. Entangle. Let's see the meaning of this. Yeah, this is called entangle. Everything is like mixed up. Apparently, there is some video game character called entanglement, but this is what entanglement is. Everything is just all mushed up, or like this. You see this? The red, the green, the yellow, the white. There's no yellow, orange and white. So that is called entanglement. This is a good picture. You see, this person is entangled. This person is entangled, and this is the story of us. So, in what context Krishna is saying? Activities performed due to contact with material bodies do not entangle him, means they don't tie him down. Simple English. So, the soul has no business with this material world. Only the body has some business with the material world. But we have to be like the tortoise, train ourselves to not get entangled. That's the word. You have to memorize that word and not be that word. Of course, then what is our entertainment? Well, there is Vancouver Rath Yatra, you go there, participate in Rath Yatra. There is Idaho Rath Yatra, you go there and participate. Go stay in a hotel after the corona subsides, participate in the Ratha cart, pull it. That's also entertainment, but that is spiritual entertainment, not material, right? So when you do it for Krishna, yes, you are not entangled. You're actually having more fun than going to Waikiki beach. Yata sarvagatam saukshmyad
Yatha sarvagatam saukshmyat
akasham nopalipyate
akasham nopalipyate
sarvatra vastito dehe
sarvatra vastito dehe
tatatmanopalipyate.
tatmatmanopalipyate.
So on the story of entanglement and entertainment, one of my friend, I met him in the Costco parking lot. I said, "Where did you go?" "Yes, I went to this. I had so much fun." "Oh, what did you do?" "I did skiing." Just by hearing him, I had the same experience. So I didn't have to go skiing. So without spending a single cent, I had the same experience of skiing. Right? The same thing. When you read Shastra and it talks about God, we should have the same experience of God. Shastra is written by our seniors. They just documented it. By reading it, we should live in it like that. The sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything. All pervading. Sky here doesn't mean the bright blue sky above you. The sky means all the ether. Similarly, the soul situated in Brahman vision does not mix with the body. So if you are in Brahman vision, then bodily things don't matter. Like for example, Maharaj Jadabharat, his brothers stole his property. They would pass urine on him. They would call him all bad names, but he would never say anything back, not a single word, because even then, the Brahman realization. So he would always meditate on the Supreme Lord. If they pee on him, they say, "Okay, this fellow is just passing urine on my body. How does it affect me?" He would still think of Krishna. And because his brothers passed urine on him, they got the bad karma later. So there are people like that. If you go to Himalayas, you'll see some randomly walking sadhus here and there. You don't know where they live, under which tree, what they eat, nobody knows. There is Ganga water, so they probably drink Ganga water. And they may not eat for a month. There are people like that. So don't think that everybody is like, people in Seattle. No, there are people with that Brahman vision, even in Kali Yuga. Okay, Gopal, read.
The air enters into water, mud, stool, and whatever else is there. Still, it does not mix with anything. Similarly, the living entity, even though situated in varieties of bodies, is aloof from them due to his subtle nature. Therefore, it is impossible to see with the material eyes how the living entity is in contact with this body and how he is out of it after the destruction of the body. No one in the science can ascertain this.
Yeah, no one in science has proven how souls can get out. Yesterday I was reading something very important in Wall Street Journal. So this multi-millionaire, where is it? Opinion, Life and Arts, somewhere I saw it. So this multi-millionaire, he put 1 million prize for somebody who can find out where his wife went after she died. Very interesting article. As if he's going to find out by giving $1 million. All he has to do, the idiot, has to read Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita will tell, Dehinosmin yata dehe kaumaram yavvanam jara tatah dehantara praptir dhirastatra namuhyati. Maybe they removed that news post. Right? So, this picture talks about two things from the Bhagavad Gita. What does it talk about? Jara and Vyadi. And what is going to come after that? What comes after Jara and Vyadi? Mrityu, death. Anyway, I cannot find that picture now. But this fellow gave like $1 million. If you want to apply for that, you can also apply for that grant to tell them where the soul goes after death in a concrete manner. Somebody will make fool of that fellow, millionaire, multimillionaire, and take that million from him. Yata prakashayati ekaham Krishnam lokam imam ravihi. Kshetram kshetri tata Krishnam prakashayati bharata. So one time, one of my friend called his friend, whom I also know peripherally. So we were doing all the puja and kirtan and Bhagavad Gita. In the end, he said, "You guys are all conditioning yourself to believe in God." So are we conditioning ourselves, or is he conditioning himself to go away from God? That thought we should think. O son of Bharata, as sun alone illuminates in this universe, all in universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness. All right? So this is again going back to chapter 2. Chapter 2 said the soul cannot be killed, the soul cannot be wet. How many? 22 or 24 different characters Krishna mentions. Here, there is one more characteristic, 25th characteristic. It illuminates the entire body by consciousness. What is illuminate? What is lumen? Anybody know the meaning of lumen?
Light.
Light. Illuminate means throw light, shed light. Right? See, you see this light is being thrown on the ground. These LED panels are throwing the light. They are floor LED panels also. And you can put light anywhere, doesn't matter. It all looks good. So they are illuminating. And here illuminate, there is a little eye there. What does it mean? So you are able to understand the subject matter better. And sometimes it is shown with a light bulb. Like your brain is activated with that. So this soul is illuminating the entire body by consciousness. Okay, Shaishdev, read.
One second, Prabhuji.
There are various theories regarding consciousness. Here in Bhagavad Gita, the example of the sun and the sunshine is given. As the sun is situated in one place but is illuminating the whole universe, so a small part of spirit soul, although situated in the heart of this body, is illuminating the whole body by consciousness. Thus, consciousness is the proof of the presence of the soul, as sunshine or light is the proof of the presence of the sun. When the soul is present in the body, there is consciousness all over the body. And as soon as the soul has passed from the body, there is no more consciousness. This can be easily understood by any intelligent man. Therefore, consciousness is not a product of the combinations of matter. It is the symptom of the living entity. The consciousness of the living entity, although qualitatively one with the supreme consciousness, is not supreme, because the consciousness of one particular body does not share that of another body. But the supersoul, which is situated in all bodies as the friend of the individual soul, is consciousness of all bodies. That is the difference between supreme consciousness and individual consciousness.
Yeah, this is the key point. Super soul, which is situated in all bodies, Paramatma, as the friend of the individual soul, is conscious of all bodies. But you are conscious only of your body. You are not conscious of your husband's body, your wife's body, your child's body. Everybody is conscious of their body, but Supreme Lord is conscious of all bodies. That in itself is a great distinction between soul, Jivatma, and super soul, Paramatma. Very simple concept. But it takes a little while to understand that Lord can see in every body. We can see only what's in our body. Kshetra kshetra jnayorevam antaram jnana chakshusha
Antaram Jnana Chakshusha
bhuta prakriti moksham cha
Bhuta Prakriti Moksham Cha
ye viduryanti te param.
Ye Viduryanti Te Param.
So the key word here is jnana chakshusha. Means you have eyes. You have an eyes which is nothing more than a lens. It takes the image from the front and then it sends it through optic nerve through the brain. That's about it. It's just a lens. But we need jnana chakshusha, means knowledge eye, not lens eye, physical eye. So jnana chakshusha means by knowledge. It is giving us knowledge. Eyes can see, jnana chakshusha can see knowledge. Those who see with eyes of knowledge, and difference between body and the knower of the body. So remember, who is the knower of the body? There are two knowers. Who are they?
Jivatma and Paramatma too.
Yeah, Atma and Paramatma. One is you, and one is the Supreme Lord who is sitting next to your soul in the heart area. He's also sitting there. You cannot escape from him. That is in English language, it's called conscience. Oh, my conscience told me that I should not do it. So who is telling you not to do it? Paramatma is there in the heart. He's telling you, Arey Baba, don't do it, don't. And this seer, remember we talked about seer, can also understand the process of liberation from bondage in material nature. To do what? Attain to this supreme goal. So what is a process? Anybody know what a process is? Right, in all IT engineers know that there is something called a process that we are coding for. Series of actions or steps to achieve a particular end. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Mix dough, put butter, put sugar, mix it well, pour it in a cup, put it in oven. No, don't pour it in a cup. Put in a container and then put in the oven. And then leave it there for 35 minutes. Cake comes out. So there's a process. So there is a process of liberation from bondage. Process of liberation from bondage. So we have to follow the process. First of all, nobody wants to hear Bhagavad Gita. People don't even come to classes, although it's free of cost. Now I think we should start paying people to come to Bhagavad Gita. So once you come and you hear process of liberation from bondage. Naga Prabhu, please read.
Hare Krishna. The purport of this 13th chapter is the one should know the distinction between the body, the owner of the body, and the supersoul. One should recognize the process of liberation as described in verses 8 through 12. Then one can go on to the supreme destination. A faithful person should at first have some good association to hear of God and thus gradually become enlightened. If one accepts a spiritual master, one can learn to distinguish between matter and spirit, and that becomes the stepping stone for future spiritual realization. A spiritual master, by various instructions, teaches his students to get free from the material concept of life. For instance, in Bhagavad Gita, we find Krishna instructing Arjuna to free him from materialistic considerations. One can understand that this body is matter. It can be analyzed with its 24 elements. The body is the gross manifestation, and the subtle manifestation is the mind and psychological effects. And the symptoms of life are the interactions of these features. But over and above this, there is the soul, and there is also the supersoul. The soul and the supersoul are two. This material world is working by the conjunction of the soul and the 24 material elements. One who see the constitution of the whole material manifestation as this combination of the soul and material elements, and can also see the situation of the supreme soul, become eligible for transfer to the spiritual world. These things are meant for contemplation and for retaliation, realization,
Realization.
and one should have a complete understanding of this chapter with the help of the spiritual master.
Yeah.
Present.
So again, we see this word see, right? First, you need association. Atau Shraddha. Tata Sadhu Sangha. This is Sadhu Sangha. Then, under the guidance of spiritual master, you do Bhajana Kriya. Then becomes a stepping stone for further realization. Spiritual master means he should be able to take you out of materialistic concept of life. So, material world is working by conjunction of soul and 24 material elements. If you go to Srimad Bhagavatam, Kapila Muni gives the description of these 24 elements in great detail. And these are meant for contemplation. What is contemplation? Looking thoughtfully at something for a long time. So we have to be thoughtful. What am I doing? I don't belong here, but I'm here. I'm stuck here. How to get out? But think through these things. It's a deep, reflective thought. You're reflecting on things. No matter how hard I work, this material world is always painful. Why? Why? You should ask that question. What is realization? The act of becoming fully aware of something as a fact. So you are becoming aware So how does realization come? Theory plus practice equals to realization. So you have the theory from Bhagavad Gita, then you apply it in your own life, then you realize. Like people say, hey, don't you realize that? We use that word very commonly. So you have to realize. Very simple. So you have to contemplate, be thoughtful, and inquire why things are happening, and then you should realize. So that is the end of 13th chapter. Starting 14th chapter.